Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, Vanity, I'm back with a card fight Vanguard Ezel on the Vanity weekly review. So, biggest Dragontree, come subscribe and so shall we? Sorry, if I'm really bad today in the reading, I'm sorry. My eyes just hurt so much because I've been doing a lot of things for the Let's Play Pokemon Let's Go Arceus, or not. Do you get the point? And my eyes are hurting so much right now. So if I read something wrong, that's why. So let's go and get this started. We have a lot of good reveals for set 9. Me questioning a lot of cards, and then my theory has been proven again. Because remember when I said Dragontree is always the 5th card on the side? Guess what? It's the 5th card again today. Just saying now. So let's go and get this started, shall we? First up, we have the Light to lure in prisoners. I really wish this was a fucking card for prison. Grade 3 normal order. By counter blasting 1 and soul blasting 3, you can choose up to 3 cards from with different grades from your drop zone, put them into your soul, and if your soul has 4 more different grades in it, you get to draw a card. So all around pretty good. This is essentially counter blast 1 to draw 1 though, which is, I don't know, I feel like this is an interesting order because it has to be different grades. So like it would work for Dragontree in the case where you'd have a bunch of same grades in soul, but in my opinion, like this is a 50-50 order where I can see the reason for it. It just feels like this is highly unnecessary. Like a Soul Blast 3 just to get that draw. Or to be more exact, Counter Blast 1 draw a card. Again, it's not bad. It just feels like it's, I don't know, in my opinion, just too hefty, even though it really is just a Counter Blast 1 to draw a card. You get what I'm trying to say here. It just feels like too much. Next up, we have Gravidia Claxton, grade 1 boost, 5 Cassatelle base, aka the thing I thought was a new Gravidia Nordlinger, which I'm kind of disappointed it wasn't, and considering what its skill is, I am more disappointed that it's not a Gravidia Nordlinger. Anyways, auto rear when this unit boosts a Vanguard Nordlinger its card name, so that gives us a possible chance we might get a new Nordlinger in the future, though, so I'll accept that, especially because she's a double rare. By counterblasting 1 and discarding a card from your hand, choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets continuous Vanguard. If your trigger unit was not placed in your triggers on this turn, it gets +1 drive until end of turn. So here's the thing, one that's only going to make it triple drive, so this doesn't stack into quad drive or something like that, unless you somehow manage to boost with 3 of them all at the same time. But here's my issue with this. I don't like this, because that is such a gamble move. Because essentially what that is on boost, before you see any of your triggers, they've got to discard 1 and counterblast 1, meaning the fact that if you see double triggers in your drive check, you just lost out on the hand card. And if you don't see double triggers, then cool. Or, like, even if you see 1 trigger, though, this gets nullified. So, I hate the fact that it's essentially a gamble in some sense, because you're forced to pay counterblast. And from my experience with Gravidia, I have a lot of counterblast issues. Or not a lot, but essentially counterblast is one of my resources that I don't want to use too much of. And as for hand cards, depends on what's happened that game as what can go bad or not good. And I also really like my current Gravidia deck, and specifically my grade 1 lineup. And I don't like... I see the purpose in this one. It just feels so like... No, though. Like, 2 of tech in my opinion, because triple drive can be helpful. But if it's only going to go off when you're not going to see a trigger, it feels like, it's okay, so 2 of, in my opinion. Then we have Tideline Dragon, grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base, act rear once per turn. If you Persona Road this turn, Soul Blast 1, choose one view other units, and at the end of turn, this and that you get plus 10k. It's also active if you Persona Road other than by normal ride. So essentially, the order is what they're implying. So, fair, an instant plus 10 to himself, so he's a 30k, and then a 10k to someone else. It can be any other units, it can be a rearguard or a vanguard. All around, it's pretty good. I like that skill. It definitely does a lot for any decks that run that Persona Ride or just get a lot of Persona Rides out. So I think it's pretty good all around nonetheless. I'd say a solid 2 of tech, or like a 3 of tech. I like how I said this is like in my opinion, a bad card, and it's a 2 of tech, and then I said this is a good card in my opinion, and it's a 2 of tech. I meant this is a good 2 of tech. This is a 2 of tech. So yeah, you know, but I say it's a solid 3 of 2 just because, again, free 10k outside of the Soul Blast. Then we have the card I knew was going to be in the 5th slot of the slides because this is how Bushy is fucking releasing them for some reason. Fallen of the Dragontree, Bist, Arvas. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto, standard ability. When plays, counterblast 1, choose a rearguard Dragontree in its marker and get a Dragontree marker. There have been 3 of them so far that have been triple rares, so I'm really curious now, like, are all of them going to be triple rares or something? And then act rearguard once per turn. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, by counterblasting 1 and soul blasting 1, choose normal order from your drop zone and put it in your hand. Okay, so there are 2 ways this can be taken. One, if we're going for the presumed Dragontree ride line, this fetches stuff out for Dragotrees, which is great, because assuming that means Dragotrees are going to rely on orders. Or, and this is what it's most likely is, this is just a generic card that happens to work with orders and is probably meant for fucking Zorga, so... fair. I mean, I like the way I'm thinking of it, where it's just like the Dragontree line is going to consist of like every type of playstyle possible, or that can be consistent within one another. So they're going to try to give everyone a bit of something. But being able to just work generically outside of Dragontree regardless is all around a pretty good skill nonetheless for me. And I really want them to release that Grade 3, but they're not going to do it for a hot while, so I might as well be satisfied with this and say for now it's probably going to be the 3 of in the Dragontree line. I don't know why I feel like he's going to be the 3 of 1. Then we have Break Seal Dragon, our new Bavzagral support. Sadly, I'm going to go ahead and say now we didn't get a new third arm, but at this point, we all knew. It's just the hope I had was broken. Anyways, Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, act rearguard if your Vanguard is in arms. Put this to soul, choose either a Sealed Blaze Sword Prevete or a Sealed Blaze Gun Chandra on your Vanguard, and at the end of turn, its original auto cost is reduced by Counterblast 1. So essentially, the Counterblast 2 for either deal a damage at the end of the battle swung if they're at 4 let damage or get triple drive is brought down to Counterblast 1, which all around is pretty great. For me personally, that's not the reason why I never equipped either of them. It's just because Adahanta was just always better for me, like obviously going first, and then I just never drew into Prevete afterwards. And then Chandra, I just didn't like fucking not having the shield. So for me, it was never much about the CB as much as it was just about, the situation at hand. But yeah, cool. I definitely will admit that has helped a little bit in the occasions where I have used this now, where this extra CB helps, question mark. You can't really say it helps if, you never really experienced it before, or like I did experience it, but never where it mattered. So it's a good card, just not in the right direction for me, I guess. So 3 of though. It's definitely a good card for the extra Counterblast. Then we have Sealed Blaze Dragon Karakashita, which involves a very convoluted combo that I don't bother using because there's no point in it, and I'll explain it when we get to it. Anyways, Great Unit 5k shield, 10k base, auto is placed on your rear guard from your hand. If you have a Vanguard Bavsagra and its card name, interestingly that says Bavsagra. I don't know why I keep saying this. It's never going to happen, but my hopes are there. Anyways, Soul Blast 1, discard 1, search deck for a drop zone for up to 1 arms card, reveal it, put it to your hand, shuffle your deck, and if you search your deck, shuffle it. So we at least have a generic arm searcher, so it can search another copy of the shield or sword if you want to, or it can search the gun and the spear and any other arm they end up printing later along the line. So that's pretty great. And you can do it from drop zone and deck, so either get your pieces out from deck or get your free ride lane discard. And then activate rear guard once per turn. By counterblasting one and putting an arm from your Vanguard into your soul, you get to draw a card and he gets +5 for the turn. Now again, that +5 is pretty decent, and getting the extra draw is great as well, and it gets you a free soul. And speaking of the convoluted combo I was talking about earlier, here it is. I'm not going to show you the image, I'm just going to tell you what to do. So first up, you called this boy, and you use his skill, I think, to discard a Trick Moon, you search your deck for the Spear, and then you arm it to Bavsagra, use her skill to soul charge 1, call Trickstar from drop, Trick Moon from drop, then use Ahata's skill to draw a card and, order for the next turn. Then what you do is, if I'm understanding this correctly, you use the this thing skill to send the Spear to soul to draw a card, and then you arm with another Spear, and then you use that Spear skill to draw another card, and then you call the grade 1 Samahata, I think, and then you use its skill to arm from your drop zone in your hand the shield, and then you did some, basically you draw a shit ton of cards. I will never be able to pull that off, but I find it funny how Bushy felt like this was a necessary thing that they had to say when they released this card, but cool. Convoluted combo, there you go. Draw your cards all you want, 4 of this, because it's a good card for Bav. And then we have our new Eugene card, which I regret being printed because my friend is going to spam this to me the second he figures out it exists, and all I'm going to hear for the next few weeks is America! Long story. Anyways, grade 3, Hunting Cannon of Duststorm Firas. Great Firas, really. Not sure. Grade 3 turn up persona, 13k base. Auto when he's placed on your rear guard by any means, whether it's by normal effects, normal or superior call, and is from deck or anywhere else. If you have a Vanguard with Eugene, its card name by counterblasting 1 and discarding 1. You search deck for 1 grade 3 normal order that isn't the Regalia piece. Yeah, for me this wasn't a worry because I know what order my friend's going to search. It's called Best Harvest, and all I'm going to hear about it is America from whenever it's played. Anyways, reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. Every time, I always pray that he doesn't pull Best Harvest. Now he's almost guaranteed to pull Best Harvest. Thanks, Bushy. This is a kick in the teeth. Thanks for the late Christmas gift. Anyways, and then auto rear once per turn when your opponent's rear guard is murdered during your turn by your card effects, specifically during your main phase by your card effects. By soul blasting 1, you can stand him and he gets boost. Okay, so clearly he's not meant to be an infinite restander, but he is meant to basically be rest him from Eugene, kill something, Soul Boss 1, stand him, and he gets boost. So all around pretty great. One of the problems I normally have with Eugene when I'm playing it, and sometimes I see him have the problem too, and or any other play with Eugene, sometimes your board gets a little bit backed up with extra grade 3s and 2s to the point where you don't have extra actual boosters or like extra cards go into soul, so having Firas be there to manage out the soul but also manage to be a booster and a 13k want that is all around pretty great. My only thing is I wish he could just retire from his first skill, but hey, he's still a good card nonetheless, and this is definitely an amazing card nonetheless. So 4 of, I just hate him because all I know is whenever he gets played I'm going to hear the words, "I search my deck for America's best harvest." I am not joking. I'm willing to bet $20 right now he's going to say that the first time he plays this card. Then we have Richard of Duststorm Hannity, great turn 5k shield, 10k base. Oh, she plays on rear guard from your deck, she gets plus 10. Cool. 20k, not bad. You know, it's a free 20. I can't say more than that. If you want to run this, run it. If you don't want to run it, don't run it. It's a 2 of. Then we have this thing, which was released right for New Year's, Genesis Dragon Amnesty Messiah. I feel like Bushy was waiting for this one. Because the thing is, this was released on Saturday. They don't do releases on Saturdays, so they timed this one perfectly. Anyways, Genesis Dragon Amnesty Messiah, grade 4 triple drive, 15k base, cannot be put in your main deck. Stride, choose one of your cards with the same grade of being grade 3 greater from hand, and discard them, and then stride this unit from your Vanguard circle face down. And then Auto Van, when this unit attacks by counterblasting 1, and you flip over any card you use on face up, doesn't have to be itself. Choose any number of your locked cards between you and your opponent, so it can be yours, it can be your opponent, it can be both, and you unlock them, and then you choose one of your rear guards, and it gets plus 5k for each card unlocked with this effect. So say, for example, everyone on the rear guard was blocked, so in total, there's a total of 10 locked cards, you unlock everything, one unit on your board gets plus, how much would that be, 50? Yeah, it would be 50. All around pretty powerful, gets multi-attack, gets numbers, and you can still keep to choose your opponent's units locked just to give them a big middle finger. All around MC is pretty amazing. I like it. Its art definitely gives off that divine feeling, which is why I felt like it was perfect for New Year, especially because it feels like there are fireworks going off in the background. I don't know why it feels like that to me. But anyways, it's an amazing grade 4, and it's a good start to the Messiahs. So let's see where the rest of this goes, and just a good 4 of. Next up, we have some pretty neat combo cards, I want to say, from Keter Sanctuary, which makes me feel like this should have just been a new fucking Rattle altogether, but hey, they're combo cards, and I'm a sucker for these. Let's go ahead and get this started with Divine Sister Amaretti, Great 3 Champion, 13k base. You change rear guard during turn, all your Divine Sisters Cassatelle and Divine Sister Spumoni on your rear guard, get plus 5k power. Okay, so sadly she doesn't do anything for herself, which in my opinion is kind of like, it depends on what a card's supposed to do if I call it shitty or not when it doesn't do anything for itself. If it's meant to support a Vanguard or a specific unit, but it itself is a Vanguard, then in my opinion, it's not like that bad. Like, for example, Alfred, King of Knights Alfred from V, in my opinion, is a really good example of that because he did support Blaster Blade, but he gained benefits from Blaster Blade being on the board. So, like, if this was a Vanguard skill, I would say, okay, cool, maybe if she gained 5k for herself, it would be great. But as a rear guard supporting another rear guard, especially when you have no way of consistently calling one of them out to the other, it feels like kind of, whack, but it's still a good skill. Because then we have Divine Sister Cassatelle, who is a great 275k shield, 9k base. Must say, I love the art. Autumn, she's wrote upon, or when she's placed on rear guard from your hand. By Soul Blasting 2, you look at the top 7, choose up to 1 Divine Sister Spumoni from one of them, called to the same rear guard circle in the same column as her. So it could be on top of her, but it can be any rear guard circle in the same column as her, and shuffle your deck. So all around, it's good because she can get out the other one. Again, I say the issue is these are 2 different rear guards that, while yes, this is an amazing rear guard skill, these are a rear guard that supports another rear guard, or even more that 2 separate sets of rear guards, and doesn't get benefit for herself. And I'm telling you right now, the Spumoni doesn't support her either. So it's kind of weird how she doesn't get any benefits, but the other 2 do. It makes kind of sense, but in my opinion, it feels like, why run her when you can just run the other 2? Because then there's Divine Sister Spumoni, who is a great one boost 5k shield, 7k base. I also love her art. And then auto rear guard, when this unit boosts a Divine Sister Cassatelle, draw a card, choose a card from your hand, put it to the bottom, and it gets plus 2k for the turn. So 9k booster, if you do call this, it's 14k. This is a 14k swinger, so that's a total of 28k swing, which all around is good because it hits a magic number, so that's a forced 20k drop. Again, I say the issue is this requires you to have 3 different rear guards on board, and one of these arguably won't do anything. Best case scenario, you end up with 2 different columns of these boys, or these lasses, and then this is just in your back center, because, I mean, it does stack, so you have multiple, and then fair, but, I feel like this should have just been a Vanguard skill. Like, bar none, if this was just a Vanguard skill, I would still say this deck is worth trying to build, because it'd be fun, it'd be a nice budget deck for, D-Series, and I don't know why they didn't just make this a grade 3, because that honestly would have been something nice to explore. That's kind of one thing I will say against D. When they've had chances to make budget grade 3s or like just alternate grade 3s in the past where they would have done it, they didn't do it here because this in the previous series would have definitely been a Vanguard skill grade 3. I don't know why they didn't do it here, but whatever. Either way, they're nice cards. I might just make a whole deck on this just to prove a point because this deserves to be a main grade 3.
And now we are going over the final cards for this week. First up, we have Stealth Fiend Temarihime. A new counter heal, grade 0 boost, 10k shield, 4k power. Auto is put on your guard circle if your Vanguard's grade is less than your opponent's Vanguard's grade. This unit gets plus 10k shield to end a battle. You see, I don't hate this one because there are the decks that have grade 4s, there are the decks that are turn 3 decks, so they'll go off the second they get the chance. This is the one I'm most likely to use if I ever were to use a counter heal, because this one actually has in-game mechanics, because the other one requires the opponent to play a specific way. This just requires you to go second, or for your opponent to be a grade 4 deck and you not be a grade 4 deck. This one, in my opinion, has the most consistent chance of going off because, granted, it's during a specific time of the game if they only go to grade 3 each, but it's still a time in the game where it's more often going to happen and your opponent doesn't have to play a specific, or one of, granted, many specific decks, but still one of many decks to begin with. It could just be they play the deck in general. So this is my favorite of the counter heals by a long shot, but probably still not going to run it. But I will say this has gotten me thinking now, maybe I want to run some counter heals every now and again. Bushy's going to get to the point where they have 4 different counter heals. I'm already calling it. But this is the other counter heals. Then we have our 3 Youthberg cards. First up, we have Destruction Dragon, Dirgeroar Dragon, grade 3 Dragon Persona, 13k base. Oh my god, I love the moon in the background. And in fact, all of them have one common theme, and I'll get to in a second. Anyways, auto, when it's discarded from your hand during your turn, if you have Vanguard with Youthberg in its card name, card boss 1, choose an opponent's rear guard, put it to bottom of deck. So, Tempest without the 5k and free 2 hand cards. In my opinion, this is not amazing. In my opinion, now hear me out on this. I like using Tempest, I like using Snizel, they take up all of my counterblast. Those fuckers take up all my counterblast. Granted, Unculate kind of fixes it out, but I'm not willing to, run this, especially because I already have a lot of grade 3s. Literally, if you go back and rewatch any of my games, or here, I'll just tell you, outright, every time I play Youthberg, at some point in the game, most likely during my first grade 3 turn, or most likely after my first grade 3 turn, my entire hand is probably 6 of the grade 3s, 2 things that I can actually guard with, and after that's pretty much nothing. So, I don't want to run another grade 3, especially because this, in my opinion, is only useful if I'm ever going to into Gus. I mean, granted, you can use it while you're on regular Youthberg, but I'm not fucking doing that, especially because I hate Gus. I made it clear at this point, Gus is my least favorite of the Youthbergs, and this is effectively useless to me. But hey, he's still a good card. For other people, for me, this is the worst card they could have given us. But then we have a card I actually like, which is Knight of Vanquish Bow Sfilt. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 5k base, auto back row, rear guard center. When your Vanguard is placed on your Vanguard circle by Revolver Dress, stand this unit gets plus 10k for the turn. So it's not a once per turn. I want to point that out, because that means it can stand twice and get a total of plus 20. Or 3 times, or you get the point. Which I doubt Bushy's going to go that far, but I also don't doubt Bushy will go that far. So, it's a good ability. I'm biased towards him because A, he has a moon, and he's an arrow boy. So, all around I like him. My only issue is just that 5k, but hey, normally I always like for Youthberg to get a few boosters out. So yeah, there's that. Now just my boosting rear guards are going to be a little bit more inconsistent, but I'm willing to give him a try because it's a 15k booster, and on Zest that's a 53k swing with double critical with the Persona ride, so all around pretty good numbers. I do like Sfilt. I'm definitely going to try him out later, so I'd say probably not a 4 just because of that 5k, but I'd say a good 3 of, or maybe even a 2 of if you feel like it, just because, yeah, again, the 5k, but 15k. And then our last card for today is, and this tells you what the theme was, and oh my god, this thing looks so badass, Knight of Plowing Dolbraig. No, this thing's actually look badass. I feel like this is more of a Tamayura looking card than a Youthberg looking card, but holy fuck, the claws, just the hair going wild. He literally makes me feel like this is Garmor's, younger son, or something like that, because also the moon. Oh my god, the crowds, the background. Oh my god, I am biased towards this card 100%. I'm gonna tell you right now, no matter what it does, I'm running this at a 4 of. Which, by the way, I haven't read any of its abilities yet, so just being clear. Anyways, auto from a rear guard. When your Vanguard is placed on your Vanguard by Revolve Dress ability, choose one of your rear Vanguards against plus 5k for the turn. Okay, works for Tempest, because one of my main things with Youthberg is that for Youthberg to get the 5k from Schneisel, you have to swing with Schneisel, which always, I hate because, like, I always like to give possible triggers to Schneisel, or just like to blow away with the Vanguard first, especially because normally the Vanguard has a drive thanks to either being Gust or Sequina, or whatever that great one's name is. So having to always waste the swing first always felt really bad to me, but having Dolbraig there at least balances it out with the free 5k. And then auto rearguard wins the attacks of grade 3 or greater unit, not a Vanguard. By soul blasting one Revolve form, this unit gets plus 10k for the battle. Okay, second ability is not amazing. It definitely works because it's a 20k swing. I hate how it kind of has to soul blast or Revolve form, because I don't know why. I feel like Bushy's getting to that point where they might make like this really powerful Revolve Driss unit that's like soul blast so and so amount of Revolve forms, or like soul blast so and so amount of Youthbergs, and this would fuck with the consistency of that, of course, especially with Enunculates by your side, because I like to run Enunculates. I'm not going to get rid of those for a while, but I will say this: Dolbraig is good. I'm definitely going to run a Metaphora. This is going to be a hard decision because you're probably going to tech down a few Schneisels because of, the searching is great. In my entire time of playing with Schneisel, and I've played a lot of games with Youthberg, my friend has played a lot of games with Youthberg, we have only whiffed Schneisel once, collectively. We have played the deck about, I don't know, 100 to 150 times between the two of us, and to my knowledge, I've only seen us together with once on Schneisel's top 5 search. So, I'm kind of not really happy about getting rid of a comp. I'm not going to get rid of all of them, but I'm not happy about getting rid of Schneisel entirely. But I will say this: in terms of power, he's better. In terms of consistency, if my theory is correct, where Bushy might make a new Youthberg that's like Soul Blast a fuck ton of cards, and this is worse. But that's a theory, of course. But a game theory. I'm sorry, I had to make that joke. Anyways, that's it for this week. Next week we're getting 3 cards for crossover dress support. That doesn't mean they are crossover dress, but let me just go ahead and get on my knees now. Bushy, please, I beg of you, give us something fucking good that isn't Bar of Arena, because Bar of Arena is my least favorite cross just by a mile. Please, I beg of you, give us something that I want to use. I beg of you. Or give us a new Prayer Dragon that's really fucking good. I'll take either one, or both. Either way, though, I'm going to end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me in the comments what you guys think about these new cards. What do you think about the counter heals? And do you think my theory is correct? Because I'm 95% sure I'm actually sure on this one. So, I'm ending here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your vanguards.